Hi, we're Roger and Lennie. I'm a bishop with Pacific Western Conference in Northern California.
We want to share with you our experience with Pro-Vialsil.
About 3 months ago, I noticed a spot on my arm, which I thought was probably a spider bite. The next day, it had grown from about the size of a quarter to about 8 inches long to about 3 inches wide. I went to the doctor, had it checked. He said it was a staph infection and gave me medication and a shot that hurt like crazy. The next day we headed for St. Louis, and by the time we had gotten to St. Louis about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the swelling had gone past my elbow all the way down to the first knuckle.
It got a little bit scary, so when we landed, we just went straight to the car rental place, got a car, and went to the emergency room at the hospital, where they immediately admitted him in the hospital and said it was very serious.
After 2 days of intravenous feedings of antibiotics, they finally released me with more medication for the next 10 days. After I got home, I had my doctor check it out. Everything looked good, but he said something that just really turned me cold. He said the medication could only kill about 90% of the infection in my body, that I had to be very careful if I had a cut or a nick, even a mosquito bite, this infection could flare up again.
Let's see, it was about a week or 10 days later when all of a sudden we noticed on his other arm, on his left arm, another thing similar to what he had on the first arm. And immediately after we put a mark around it and saw it growing, we went to the emergency room again. It was on a weekend. Our doctor said, if you have any more, be sure you go. And they gave him a intravenous at that time as well, and said go home and just make sure it doesn't get any bigger if it does come back. So we went home, and by the next night it had really grown past where they marked it on his arm. So we took it back to the emergency room. So third time in the emergency room, we were sitting there, and a friend of ours from Kansas City called me on my cell phone, and he said, I'd heard what was going on with Roger. How's he doing right now? And I said, well, right now we're sitting here waiting to see whether or not they're going to put him in the hospital again. So he told us about Pro-Vialsil, and he said go home and get online and order it immediately, and when you begin taking it, have him take 3 tablespoons a day until he's gone through at least 3 bottles. And then they also had a gel that we put topically on it. So I did that. I went home, ordered it, and left him in the hospital for another set of IVs. Then the following day we brought him home, and it was about 5 days later when we got the medicine in the medication, or the Pro-Vialsil, and began applying it to his, at that time, his foot.
Yeah, for some reason, about a week after I got back from the hospital, this thing broke out of my foot, not from a sore, just the swelling started to go across the top of my foot. So Lennie got the gel, drew a circle around it, and started putting the gel on the infected area. The thing that was interesting is we noticed an hour to an hour and a half later that the swelling had not exceeded the line that we had drawn. It had stayed right where it was.
And the redness began to shrink.
Yes.
Almost immediately. So it was really amazing. By the next day, it was really neat because the swelling had gone down, and the redness, the puffiness and the redness had gone down, and so we just kept really watching it. I kept applying it every time I thought about it, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Because I was, at that point, pretty scared. I thought, oh no, is he going to have to fight this continually in his body? So.
Well, after 3 days, it got down to 2 spots about the size of a nickel. By the 4th day, it was gone. I have continued to take the Vialsil. I don't take it quite to the degree I did in the past. I take just a teaspoon a day. But the thing that I find interesting about this, I like to work around the house, do little construction projects, and I'm always building something or making something. And I have a tendency to cut my hands or nick my hands or whatever else. And I've noticed since I've been taking the ProBioCell that this cursed thing that's come against my body has not had a chance to manifest at all. And I've been free of the infection since we've been taking it. So I am very much impressed with it.
It's been about 3 or 4 months now since he's had any kind of an outbreak. And the neat thing, we began using the BioCell for our brushing teeth and for, gums, to kind of keep the gums clear and clean. Just a variety of things. I just keep it on hand because it's really handy to have, and we'll have the liquid for the wintertime when we're faced with the flus and viruses and stuff. So it's been a really exciting, helpful product for us.
Yes, we're glad we found it.
Thank you.